Yo, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to another video. So today's video, we're gonna go over the trade that we took this morning. Today's Monday, the first start of a brand new trading week, and we already started off the week very nice with the VIP group. So I'm gonna show you guys every single trade that I took this morning with the VIP. It was pretty cool. We ended up taking two different types of setups. Each setup we did attempt it a few times. So the first setup I did attempt it 3 times. The second setup I attempted twice. So I'm gonna show you guys the profit that we made today, explain to you guys again the setup, the signal that I did send out in the VIP. So the first thing first, I'm gonna show you guys the profit of the day, which we did end up closing out. This is the account management that we're still doing. So we end up closing it out at $4,510, as you guys can see. So that's the profit that we made this morning. And then obviously you guys can see this is still the account management. So I'm going to show you guys the account balance in the next video. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what we have taken this for these past couple weeks, the past month. The month profit looks insane, so that looks great. Hopefully we continue growing this account. But I'm going to show you guys now in the VIP what we were able to catch. So here inside the VIP, this was the first signal, which was at 8-9 in the morning. So it was pretty much right after the New York session opened up. We ended up taking some sales position here with gold, which we had two entry, one at 39.35 and the other one at 39.38. The first attempt, as you guys can see, we did end up hitting every single take profit over 190 pips, which we did end up closing out around 100 pips here at a 101.4 risk to reward. I told everyone to re-enter the same exact position. We ended up taking out the same trade, which was the re-entry. This time we only took one entry, which was at 39.38. 39.38 got active. We ended up hitting take profit 4, which was 80 pips. Same exact exit. I told everyone if price action takes us out, let's re-attempt the same exact position. The third attempt, we did end up getting stopped out of stop loss, as you guys can see. This is where I told everyone, hey, we might have been stopped out just before the move down. For now, let's wait for clear price action and before we enter in the same exact position, or to be ready to react and adapt. So at this point over here, this is where I was telling everyone, hey, we got stopped out of break even. I'm gonna see if obviously this is just simply a liquidity sweep, that we might probably got stopped out too early or probably entered the trade too early. If it was that case, then obviously we're just gonna wait for different price action to build up so that we can re-enter the same exact sell position. The other plan that I have was pretty much be ready to react and adapt. React and adapt just simply means be ready to adapt with the market. So the market pretty much have broken out around these highs over here, it's just simply pretty much react towards it and adapt towards it, right? So if it breaks above, obviously we're going to be looking for buying position. So at this point over here, this is where I send out the profit. So as you guys can see, $2,300 is what we were floating early this morning. The sell position, I did end up losing $1,200, and then these were the buy position or the sell position, the profits that we have closed it out from the last two trades. Now at 10:47, this is where I send out another signal. So we had two trades. We had a sell position, which was a counter trend trade sell. This was a high risk sell, and then we also had a buy limit pending at 39.52. So I sent out both of these signals just 1 minute apart. The sell position, it was simply from this point over here towards the downside over here. So the idea of this trade was obviously a counter trend trade sell. Since price action was very, very bullish, there was a lot of overbought price action around these areas over here. So price action gave us a perfect entry, which I did enter off this rejection candle over here. Price action pushed the market towards the downside, activate my buy limit, which was simply just react and adapt, the break and retest above all of these entire highs. So this was a buy position that got active. Our sell did end up hitting take profit 3 over 60 pips. This is where I told everyone to secure half and move their stop loss to break even. So this was pretty much the trade that we had going on. We had the sell, and then we also had the buy limit pending. The buy limit, we did get stopped out of break even. I told everyone to re-enter the same exact position. The re-entry was simply right after this candle over here. So the first attempt was simply a buy limit, which was this candle, pushed the market towards the upside, took us out of break even with the sell. The sell pushed the market even lower, end up hitting take profit 4, but we did not re-enter the sell. Now the second attempt of this buy limit over here was simply right after price action gave us the full rejection towards the areas of interest. My entry candle was simply this morning star over here confirmation, which was simply the break and retest above the structure, going along with the trend, and then we got a perfect entry signal, which was this morning star candle or morning star pattern right over here. This is where I told everyone to re-enter the same exact position. As you guys can see, we did end up hitting every single take profit, closing out this trade at 150 pips at a 1 to 2 risk to reward. So we end up closing out this position over here, 1 to 2.3 risk to reward. Right after closing out this position, notice how price session pretty much dropped towards the downside. It really melted. So if we did not close out the position, we would have gotten stopped out of break even, because my overall profit was going to be set at a 1 to 3. So if I did not tell everyone to close out the profit over here, we would have not won this trade at all. But it was a pretty great start to the week. I'm going to show you guys the breakdown, give you guys the full analysis on both of these setups. I have the confirmation notes right over here. Why did I take all of these trades? trade. So I'm going to break it down to you guys now. All right, so going over the first trade that we took this morning, which was sells position. So the sell trade that we took this morning was pretty much playing with probabilities, right? What was the probability of price session switching to structure with the overall trend, or what is the probability of price session just continuing with the trend, right? So the probability was in there. It was still risky trade due to the fact that overall with the market with gold, we're still very much bullish, right? The confirmation that we got is pretty much aligned with our trading plan. So these are type of setup that is called probabilities, right? I will continue taking these setups over and over again simply because it aligns with the trading plan. That's exactly how those type of setups that you guys want to take. If it aligns with your plan, why not take it over and over again? We're gonna go over the notes that I took this morning, which was the confirmation on why did I enter this trade. So the first note that I have over here is the rejection of resistance. A few attempts failed to break and close above. So the resistance, the highs that I'm talking about is going to be all of these entire highs. So we have the first confirmation sells, which was set during the Asian session, which these over here, these Asian session highs, which is around the 39.40. And then we also have the London highs and the New York session highs over here, which is going to be set around the 39.40. We have the rejection. So I'm going to explain to you guys pretty much what each of these entire highs mean. So we have the first high that was during the Asian session, right? So this happened between, the Asian session between 9 to 1 in the morning to all the way through the London session, or overlapping between the London session. So we have the first high over here. Once we pretty much open up these highs, notice how price session had the first bearish reaction, we had the push, and then we also had the rejection, and then we also had another bearish reaction. So since the market with gold is still overall bullish, the market still needs to come back down, pretty much to retest all of these entire broken structure to confirm the entire structure or confirm this entire trend. And the other way to say it is that obviously gold has been very much bullish the past couple weeks, the past month. So the market is still overall bought. So these are the type of opportunities over here that is still high probabilities, right? And there's still a potential between these type of setups. So during the Asian session, we built up the first opportunity, which was a sell trade. But notice once price session pretty much, sold off the market, we reacted off this 15-minute bullish fair value gap. So let's put this in blue so you guys can see it. So this is the bullish fair value gap that we rejected off, which is going to be from this point towards this point over here. And then notice how price session as well, once we started breaking above all of this entire structure, we built up another 15-minute bullish fair value gap. So these two notes over here, or these two details, was the main reason on why we react and adapt this morning in the market, and we pretty much won the trade with the buy position that we took. I'm going to explain to you guys later on in this video, but these are the two main notes. If this candle over here or this push over here would have broken underneath this entire 15-30 minute bullish structure, this is where I can tell you guys that this setup over here will be even more high probability than the entry that we got, right? Because at this point over here, this is where price session can just simply come back, bounce from these highs, start retesting all of these structure. And if price session continues holding those seller opportunities, and we could have definitely seen a bigger sell-off towards the market, which is just simply going along with different patterns, right? Just more of like memory muscles on what you guys understand with these type of structure. But again, keep in mind with these two 15-minute bullish fair value gap. Now comes in the London session. We build up the London session lows over here, and then price session breaks above these highs. Now this obviously is not going to be confirmed as a, hey, price session is going to continue pushing the market higher. This was mostly a liquidity sweep. If we look at it from a 1 hour time frame perspective, you guys can see how many times price session has attempt to break above structure. So we have the first attempt, the second, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So we have a few attempts price session trying to break above structure. This is where the probability comes into. It aligns with our trading plan, but the trading structure is still overall bullish. So what is the probability of price session playing both sides? What is the probability of price session going my side, or what is the probability of price session going the correct side, which is going along with the trend? So I loved how the 1 hour structure was building up, which we did see a multiple rejection towards the upside. We did see the first entire bearish reaction towards the downside, but the only thing that kept this entire bullish structure to keep pushing was simply how price session was just reacting off these boxes. These boxes are the fair value gap boxes, right? So again, we have the rejection of this entire resistance. We have the liquidity sweep between the 39.40 structure to the 39.48 structure. Notice once we build up these highs over here, which was during the London session highs, consider as the London session high as well. Notice how we broke underneath structure. We broke back underneath these highs. So we're now trading underneath these highs over here. And notice how price session continues attempting breaking towards the upside. So again, this points over here is already showing us that sellers are active in the markets and buyers are getting exhausted, meaning that buyers are now taking their profits. Seller can slowly step into the markets. So this was mostly of again with going along with the probability. Then we have the minor breakout under the 15-minute structure, which is around the 39.38, which was a break of structure confirmation. So if we notice the 15-minute structure, notice how we were ranging from one point towards another point until we finally broke out under. So we broke under this entire 15-minute structure, and we also came back and built up this 15-minute fair value gap right over here, which was the bearish fair value gap. So again, we rejected all of these entire highs, liquidity sweep, minor structure, break out of the structure, retest that structure, and then retest this 15-minute fair value gap. We have the first bearish confirmation, which was this 15-minute bearish engulfing candle. Then price action pulled back towards these zones, retested the fair value gap, and then we rejected. My entry confirmation was simply off this 5-minute bullish candle closure. So as soon as this 5-minute candle closure rejected all of these entire highs and closed underneath, that's exactly where I entered the market. Price went into a drawdown for a few pips, but this was simply to retest this entire fair value gap, which was a 15 fair value gap as well with a higher time frame. We rejected, we started seeing this entire selling opportunity. So this was the first trade that I called out in here inside the VIP this morning, which was the sell signal. This was at 809. So we entered the market, and then we started noticing that price action was rejecting off these entire boxes. Now this is where I told you guys to focus on with the buy position. These two boxes over here was the main reason on why we end up taking these buy position over here. Now, before we go with the buy position, these sell trades over here, like I explained to you guys earlier, we did attempt it 2 times. So the first attempt was right over here. The second attempt was the same exact entry signals. And then the third attempt, or my bad, the first attempt was the entry signal. The second attempt was this wick over here as soon as it took us out of break even, which we end up closing out profit at the same exact point. The third attempt was this bullish candle right over here, which activated our trade. And then obviously we started noticing the break out of the structure. So if we go back now going into the buy position, this is where I told you guys to focus on these 2 boxes. Now let's take a look at the buy notes. The buy notes, the overall trend is still bullish. So the market is still overall bullish, meaning that we're creating higher highs and higher lows, breaking above all of these entire highs. We have the rejection of 15-minute bullish fair value gap around the 39-32 zones, which is going to be this points over here. So this was the first confirmation, or the overall confirmation is still that the overall trend is still bullish. But this was the confirmation that was building up during the London session. The sell position would have worked out if we would have inversed this entire bullish fair value gap. If price action would have broken underneath, simply like this is where we can probability or possibly see price action build up these type of bearish structure. And if we would have hold underneath the structure, then obviously we would have seen price action sell the market even lower. Same exact scenario could have happened earlier during the London session, but since price action just kept bouncing off from this fair value gaps over here, from this point to this point over here, it was showing us that buyers were still overall bullish, right? Or pretty much still overall active, because again, we're still aligning with the overall trend, which is still bullish. We have the rejection of these entire, both of these entire fair value gap, and then we also have the bullish break of structure above previous all-time high, which is set around the 39.48, which was a confirmation of the confirmation of this entire continuation towards the upside. Rejection towards these 2 boxes. And then we also have the break of structure above these major highs, the major all-time highs. We also have the retest at 39.48, where it built up the support and it rejected off clean, right? So we go back here on the 5-minute structure, where you guys can simply see a break and retest setup. So rejection of the main structures, the break and retest above all of these entire highs. So we have this highs right over here, and then we also have this other highs right over here. And then notice how a rejected off. So the first attempt that we took this buy, if we go back here inside the Telegram, the first trade that we took with the buy position was right over here. It was set as a buy limit. We also took a high risk sell, which was a counter trend trade. So I only attempted this trade once, since it was very risky trade, since price action was just breaking above all of the structure. But the idea of that high risk sell was simply from this point over here toward this point. If price action respected it, then obviously we continue with a bullish trend. But if price action would have broken underneath, we would have lost the buy position. But our sell, which was a high risk sell, which was a counter trend trade sell, would have made up the profit from this one and probably would have closed out a little bit more profits, right? But again, since this counter trend trade sell, this are the very, very, very rare type of setup that we take. Maybe once, twice around the month. This is the first counter trend trade sell that I took this month, which was very risky because again, the overall trend is still bullish, but the idea did play out exactly the way that I planned. So if we go back over here with the notes, we have the retest at the 39.48 zone. So we go back here inside the Telegram, we have the buy limit that went active. We did end up hitting every single, well, to take profit 3. This is where I told everyone taking this again, it stopped at a break even. And then this is where I told them, hey, our sell got stopped out, because once we got stopped out of break even, which was right over here with these sells, Notice how price session came back towards the same exact high risk sell zone. I was not willing to attempt this trade since we rejected off this entire structure already. So that means that price session would have broken above these highs over here. We would have lost a trade. So it would have been a stupid loss, which would have been a mistake, right? So we just attempted to sell once, which was a counter trend trade sell. And we then entered the buy limit, which was more of a high probability of more of the counter trend trade sells, right? So we're going back here inside the Telegram. This is where I told everyone I'm in again. Only trade open for now. So once we got pretty much taken out a stop loss at break even with our sell position and then got breaking even with our buy position, all I simply waited for was simply the same exact plan, which is going along with the plan, the retest at the 39.48 zone. So once again, we come back towards this level, we do see another bullish rejection. And then notice the type of pattern that we form over here, which was this entire candle pattern formation. We build up a 5-minute morning star, which was our entry signal. So again, confirmation with the buy, rejection towards the fair value gap, the rejection, the retest above this entire all-time highs, which was 39.48. Just simply created the next higher low legs, rejection of this entire structure, build up support, and then we also have the 5-minute morning star candle, which was our entry confirmation. So we entered the market. I told everyone to re-enter again. As you guys can see, I told everyone to secure some profits since price session was coming back towards these highs. And we started seeing some, type of minor rejection. Didn't tell everyone to fully close. I just told them to close more profit. Now at this point over here, all I was simply waiting for was for price session to break above these highs. Once it would have broken above these highs, my full take profit was set around the 1 to 3 risk to reward. But notice this entire pretty much, price session broke above all of these structure. We had this 5-minute, which was very, very bullish, so close to hitting our final take profit, which was, I believe, was like at least less than 60 pips. But then we started seeing some very high seller opportunity coming into the market. So pretty much all liquidity towards the upside of fake out, and then price session started switching structure. So we go back here into the Telegram. This is where I told everyone, I'm out. I closed out this position at 150 pips out of 1 to 2 risk to reward. And we also got a perfect exit. So my exit was around the 39.68 zone. And as you guys can see, as soon as we got out of the market, price session pretty much tanked towards the downside. So as of right now, we are clearly seeing that price session is just rejecting off the structure, pretty much trading, but there's no really good opportunity. Now we're pretty much trading inside these ranges, which was going to be more of the intraday time frame structure ranges. So from point A to point B. So we're pretty much going to have to see what happens tomorrow. But this is pretty much the setup that I took this morning. Very clean, very easy. Hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown, this recap. If you guys have any questions, just comment down below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.